looking at where the global economy is, we just have a lot of debt, and it's not stopping. I mean, you saw obviously the politics last couple of days about the US debt ceiling, and that's a lot of debt to repay. And it doesn't matter how big it gets, you've got to repay it. And there's two factors in my view about the US debt. One, you can't raise interest rates. If you raise interest rates, you've got to pay more interest, and that's more money that's got to be printed. Interest rates, everybody's worried about inflation, and obviously I think inflation will overshoot. It will be harder than we expect, but I don't think the Fed can increase interest rates. And obviously that is a positive for gold. It's a store of value, a store of wealth, and the only other way you can obviously repay and then reduce your debt burden is a weaker dollar. Obviously, gold, silver, US dollar commodity makes that more attractive. Just looking at where the uncertainty is. Also, gold is also seen by investors as a good store of wealth. So uncertainty breeds people looking at gold as another US dollar instrument to put their cash.
To this RTD interview today, I'm excited to have first-time guest, Mr. David Rhodes. He's the chairman and director of Altaley Mining Corporation. Today, he's joined us to share his thoughts on the economy, precious metal space, as well as opportunities in the mining sector. So, David, welcome to RTD Interviews.
Thank you.
Well, I appreciate you taking time to join us here. Looking forward to diving into Altaley Mines. But before we get into there, I'd like to get a chance to have the audience, basically come a little bit more familiar with you. So if you don't mind, share with us a little of your background and how you've arrived at this point in your career.
Cool, pleasure. And once again, thank you for having me. I've been in the business 25 years. Investment banking is my training. Worked for some of the big, large investment banking firms. And for the last 16 years, I've been the managing director at Endeavour Financial, one of the top boutiques, working with the middle to junior sector in the mining space. So we work from the small guys to the mid-tiers. We arrange their financings and get very much involved in construction and development of their businesses. And, my experience, as you imagine, over that period of time, I've seen the highs and lows. So I've had a couple of, down periods in the mining space. And obviously, as we're seeing now, we've got a resurgence and we're getting back to the highs. So it's good to been about 10 years or so, but now we're back. So it's great to be able to talk to you guys about that.
Sounds good. So now we're back. So I'm looking forward to getting more of your thoughts on where we're at now, because all the cycles you've gone through, I'd imagine none of those cycles, it all pales in comparison to the current environment we're in now with all the issues we're facing, which makes, of course, gold and silver mining so important because of the need for people to diversify their assets and whatnot. So we have lots of things going on. We have debt still in the U.S., Asian debt issue over there. I could probably give you 4 or 5 more. But as a business owner,
I won't be able to sleep tonight. Please.
So as a business owner, as an investor, what are some things that concern you, and what are you keeping an eye on, and how you're navigating all this insanity around us?
Yeah, well, to be honest, it's and I obviously the markets are pretty important from the viewpoint of mining, and obviously the capacity and the capital available for these mines. And the key driver from my perspective, looking at where the global economy is, we just have a lot of debt, and it's not stopping. I mean, you saw obviously the politics last couple of days about the US debt ceiling, and that's a lot of debt to repay. And it doesn't matter how big it gets, you've got to repay it. And there's two factors in my view about the US debt. One, you can't raise interest rates. If you raise interest rates, you've got to pay more interest, and that's more money that's got to be printed. Interest rates, everybody's worried about inflation, and obviously I think inflation will overshoot. It will be harder than we expect, but I don't think the Fed can increase interest rates. Obviously that is a positive for gold. It's a store of value, a store of wealth. Inflation, interest rates, you don't want them to go too high, and I don't think they will, because obviously you've got a lot of debt to have to service interest. And the only other way you can obviously repay and then reduce your debt burden is a weaker dollar. Obviously, gold, silver, US dollar commodity makes that more attractive. So in my view, it's a perfect storm. We've had a bit of weakness in the gold sector, but we're just seeing now, gold prices starting to bottom up, and I think it's a very attractive entry point now, just looking at where the uncertainty is. Also, gold is also seen by investors as a good store of wealth. So uncertainty breeds people looking at gold as another US dollar instrument to put their cash.
All right, sounds good there. And I also, just speaking of gold real quick, there's, this past summer and currently underway, the whole Basel III aspect of the European markets needing to settle some things with those, different financial products that they've created to, I guess, control the price of gold or whatnot. Now, how do you see that unwinding as we get through the end of this year? I think in January, the UK is supposed to, officially settle their books or whatnot. What are your thoughts on that? How that also impact gold prices?
Yeah, to be honest with you, it's a good point, and there's been a lot of discussions about that and what the effects will be. I look at it quite simply. It's really a US dollar interest rate, US dollar currency view in mind. If you look at, yes, the banks do have to sort out, how they handle gold, but I don't think that's going to be the major driver. I think it's really going to be looking at the balance sheet, the uncertainties in the marketplace. You just raised a few. But then you look at other political, obviously you've got China going, Taiwan, those kind of things. Afghanistan obviously was a bit of an issue as well. So there's just too many uncertainties, and uncertainty is not good for the stock market, but it is good for gold. It's a safe commodity to invest in, and obviously gold mining companies. The one thing you'll see, and I still think. From talking to the investment community that we do, and I'm here in Toronto at the moment talking to the investment community here, there is a lot of money for gold and silver to be invested. But at the moment, people look at the stock market and go, hey, I can just buy Apple, I can buy the techs, and I'm making a lot of money on Earth. But that's changing, as you can see in the market at the moment. That is getting tougher now. It's not as certain, and therefore that's where people need to look at other asset classes. And we believe over the next, short term, people will start looking at different asset classes, and obviously mining, gold and silver is one of those, important asset classes that we feel investors should now be looking at as the easy money. In the stock market, I think it's getting a bit tougher now.
Yeah. Now I'm just curious your thoughts, because you referenced silver a couple of times, and so here on the channel we're pretty much heavy silver bugs, if you would like to say that. But as far as the ratio aspect, it's 70-80 was way out of whack, that nowhere near what it comes out the ground as. So your mind, in your opinion, is I guess, would silver be the ideal play for the most possible bang for your buck, or regardless of what the prices might be in the future, because of the currency creation, the dollar is going to do good on either ways? Or what's your thought on the difference between gold and silver?
Yeah, to be honest, I think they're both going to do great. Yeah, just because of the currency aspect, and obviously, as I mentioned, the interest rate environment that's going to be looking forward. So I think both are, silver, it's actually got a real, commercial use as well. So there's got a good demand. Obviously, gold, it's jewelry, etc., but it's not the same commercial use as silver. So silver's probably got two reasons to invest in it. Mm-hmm. Gold's got probably one key reason to invest.
Now, just a moment ago, you mentioned about other alternative assets, and I guess the competition for capital, because a lot of people, especially the younger generation, I'm noticing, are extremely excited about the digital asset space with all the meme stocks and NFTs and cryptocurrency. And so on the financial side of things, have you run into some headwinds with being able to really gain a lot of people's attention, given that you have probably a tug of war amongst where should they allocate their funds, whether it be in the digital space or in the mining space? Or give us some of your experience on that.
Such growing in some cases, different asset classes, and it is a struggle. When you look at the cryptos, you look at the huge demand and the price increases in that, and you look at some of the asset classes, we are all in the same battle for that capital. Cryptos, there seems to be a wave of government, statements coming out about crypto. So, from my point of view, we very much invest in something that we know and doesn't have that type of, government, intervention that may be coming down the track. So, we're wary about cryptos when we look at it from the investment point of view. And we are just very much focused on gold, silver, precious metals. And that's where we see the real value being, because, the uncertainty because of government intervention, because obviously the meme stocks, there's no fundamentals about it. It's just driven by investors getting together as a group, and obviously in some cases doing extremely well as a group. But that is not fundamentals. Gold and silver and the investments, and we're hopefully talk about Altaley. That's a solid investment, good fundamentals, good company with good growth prospects. That's how we look to invest, and that's probably different to the crypto and obviously the other asset classes you mentioned.
All right. Well, so let's dive into Altaley, if you don't mind. Give us a little bit of the groundwork, their foundations, and some company details, if you don't mind. Let's dive into that.
Yeah, sure. So Altaley has got an existing producing mine, which is a polymetallic in Mexico. That mine has now got to a state where it's cash flow positive. It's producing a lot of good cash flow for the company. And that's helping really with the development of its second asset. This is the Tahueto mine in Mexico. The second asset is probably about a quarter away, 3 months, 4 months away from first production. So in that exciting stage, we've got an existing mine producing cash flow, and we've got a second mine, three months away from getting into first production. And obviously, as you can imagine, huge value creation when you get your mine from just being built to getting cash flow out of it. So nice period of time for the company to have two assets working hard by first quarter next year. We'll have two mines producing, and obviously that'll re-rate the company as a two producing company.
Interesting. So I guess in comparison to other companies your size, what makes Altaley a little bit more unique, I guess, as an investment opportunity?
It's, to be honest, it's just that development curve. So most development curves, mining, it can take you 5 years to find something, another 5 years to do the studies to get it ready to be built, and obviously another 2 years to build it. We're at the fortunate stage where we're only 3 months away from having it in production. So we're getting to the market, and that's really a good time to be able to invest, and a good time for us as a business to be able to look at other options once we've got our two mines in production. So an exciting stage for us, and I think for investors, it's a good stage to be looking at investing.
Interesting. So share with us a little bit of the team as well. Give us some of the experience of some of the guys involved in the project, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. So Ralph Sheeran, he's the CEO, and Ralph's been with the company really since its inception. So it is something which, from Tahueto and the other assets, he knows it well. He's been running this company well. And underneath him, because of his longevity, he's got a great team. So Armando is our chief operating officer. He is a specialist in Mexico and these types of mines. And I'm glad to say, so far, touch wood, we're on time, on budget, and that's really down to Armando and his skill sets of being able to build and operate in Mexico. And that's the key aspect for us. And because we have an existing mine as well, we have all that wealth of experience on the operational side, even the costing side. Obviously, we've got a whole team that are working with the suppliers, working through the costs, making sure we can efficiently buy all the equipment, all the supplies we need. So the existing experience of the team operating, we're able to put that to work with Armando as a builder to get Tahueto running, and hopefully, as I say, in production beginning of next year.
Interesting. So as far as just looking out in the future, where do you see the company, 3, 4, 5 years from now? What are some things that you guys would like to be fully operational or venture into or what at that point?
Yeah, the midterm is, midterm can happen quite quickly. So we hope to be one of the consolidators in the industry. So there are a lot of single mine companies out there. Obviously, we are working to get ourselves into that, 2 assets, 2 mines. We've got some good exploration potential as well, so we can expand Tahueto. So next year we'll be expanding it. Also at Campo Morado, our existing operating mine, there's some metallurgical work going on at the moment to try and unlock some more value there. So short-term drivers are expanding Tahueto, unlocking some value in our existing mine, and then as part of that, we'll be looking at some M&A opportunities to really grow our business and add more mines to our business.
Right now, so do you mind on a financial side of things? Let's share with us a little bit of the market cap, if some of the investors, if possible, give us some of the details on Audience, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. So on the Altaley is on the Toronto and the US, so the Toronto Venture, and on the QX as well. Market cap is around the 100 million Canadian, so 70 odd million US range at the moment. Like a lot of the gold stocks at the moment have come off over the last month or so, over the summer period. We're seeing a lot more volume now, lots more pickup in shares, which is great to see from our side. So hopefully that'll change in the short term. Freestanding shares, we've got about 330 million shares outstanding. We've got over 9.5 million in cash, which obviously is going towards the construction of Tahueto on that basis. So from our point of view, good strong position to obviously get into that 2 mines into production, and obviously driving the share price higher as we show the results and one thing we are seeing a lot of at the moment is a lot of excitement about our Campo Morado asset. It really is starting to work well and produce a lot of cash flow on a quarterly basis.
Sounds good. Well, David Rhodes, I appreciate you for joining us and sharing what's happening up in your neck of the woods. Anything else you want to share with us that I may not have asked question-wise? And then also point us back to where people can find out more information on the project. And, of course, I'll have some things down below as well.
Great. So, obviously, Altaley Mining, we've got a website, a lot of information. Welcome anybody to come and, got questions to us. And obviously, you can have a one-on-one discussion if anyone's needs some more data. But there's plenty on the website and presentation on there as well. And really from us, just have a look at us. We have got a great existing asset, all that experience of working in Mexico. We're just very close to finishing our second asset, Tahueto, which means you'll be 2 assets in production. That's when you're really cranking up the cash flow. And that allows us obviously to look at other alternatives, look at other assets we can acquire, merge with, and really build this company. So our midterm range for this company is really driving it higher, becoming a consolidator in this industry, as well as undertaking those internal expansions of Tahueto and obviously Campo Morado, as I mentioned, unlocking some more value in that asset. So really growth is our vision for the next 18 to 3 years.
Okay, growth is the vision. I appreciate you, Dave, for joining us. And once again, as always, I like to reach out in the future, have you back on and see where you're at that point. But thank you for educating and informing the RT audience rather on what's happening. And looking forward to paying attention to what you guys have going on. Thanks for joining us on RT Interviews.
Thank you for the time as well. Thanks a lot.